Good evening. I am Kamal Kuchakalia, publisher of the Nubia News, and we are honored to have our mayoral candidate Paul Perez here with us today so that he can speak to you and let you know what his plans are for Trenton in the coming years. Brother Perez, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir.
That's good.
Good evening to you. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
You know, we want to basically be relatively informal. You know, we just want to talk to you. How are you doing out there? Let's start with that.
It's been quite a race. You know, as you know, we've been racing now for probably 6 years. We didn't start the other day. We raced last time against Eric Jackson. Eric Jackson beat us. It was a good race. It was a fair race. He won. He's the mayor. But the next day we said we were going to run again. So we've never stopped. And we've been out there building coalitions, talking to the people, making new friends, finding out what the issues are in our city, and trying to figure out how do we solve those issues or problems or challenges that our people face on a daily basis. It was that work that positioned us to get here to this point and hopefully beyond the runoff.
Tell me about an issue that you have plans on solving and how you want to do that.
Well, there are many issues that we can
Exactly.
solve, right? It depends on what side of town you look at. It could be a tax issue, it could be job issue, it could be safety issue for the entire city. There are many issues that we're going to be solving. I'm the only candidate that has any plans on the website. We did our business and economic development position papers that are out talking about how we plan on changing the view of City Hall as just a city or municipal building into what we call an urban center of excellence, which means we're going to professionalize our force. We're going to make sure that we provide a world-class customer service to our people who live in the city and those who want to come and work in the city or do business with us. We talk about how we want to provide professional development for that workforce and how we want to raise their level of understanding and performance. We also provide a detailed explanation as to how we want to professionalize the security force or police in the city. And by the way, Trenton is one of the only cities that has a police force that's not been accredited by any outside agency or organization. Many people don't know that. We want to bring that into our city, introduce it as a professional development for our police force, having them understand that there are ways to learn from lessons from other officers or organizations and mistakes that they make, or even good things and good practices that they might have. Basing things on best practices and benchmarking where success has been laid out across the country is a good way to start, and we intend to do that in resolving issues for the city.
Now you sound like you're going after a world-class governing body. Is that true?
Absolutely, we deserve the best.
Okay.
We deserve the best. Trenton is not only known for one thing, but known for many things. And one thing that we make great today is great people. But what we need to do is we need to provide them an opportunity to be developed and show off that talent that they have.
As a follow-up to that question, who are some of the names that we can anticipate will be part of your cabinet, your department heads, your top staff?
That's always a question that's being pressed when you're in the runoff. But having learned from last time, here's what I can tell you. I'm not going to be presumptuous. I'm not going to talk about a cabinet or anything like that because I'm focusing on winning right now. What I need to do is lock our doors, make sure that I get the votes out, win, so that we can bring this new excellence to the city of Trenton. There are people that we're considering, but you know, we're not in a position that we can say this name versus that name. It's got to be an open and fair competition. There has to be a vetting process. We have to respect the privacy of people who might be showing some sort of interest. I can tell you this, that there's a long list of professionals, subject matter experts who are excited about the possibilities of this city, and we want to definitely include them in that process. Who are they? They're probably 50% are from the city of Trenton, and then another 50% are from the outside of the city of Trenton that are demonstrating what we might call special interest in coming in in helping the city make this leap into the 21st century.
What could be your greatest challenges to become a mayor?
That's the best question that's been asked. What could be the greatest challenges? That I take it for granted, and I don't understand that this is a fight to the end. That's why I have to remain focused and run like I'm losing. Every minute you see me, I am running like I'm losing. I'm knocking on doors, I'm listening to the people, I'm making sure that they know who I am. I don't focus on anything else that anybody else is saying or doing or anything like that, because in the end, that doesn't get me elected. What gets me elected is paying attention to those who need assistance and live in the city, making sure that they understand that they're being heard, that they have a true and respectable person in front of them, not a career politician, but someone who's here to face the challenges that they face head on, and then also bring some resolution to the problems that they've been seeing for many years.
In a case that you are not elected this time, you planning to run again in the future?
Well, that's too early to tell, right? And I definitely don't plan to lose, so we're going to have to visit that one after the 12th of June.
Education has been horrible for the past 40 years. You select the Board of Ed, which selects the superintendent. Are you satisfied with the superintendent we have now, or are you going to make changes so that our education system at last gets on track?
Well, I will agree with you that the Trenton public school system continues to be challenged, right? And some of them are what I might call self-inflicted wounds. About 2 years ago, the Board of Education, the current Board of Education, and many of those who are serving leadership positions decided that they were going to grant this superintendent a 5-year contract. Now, that is an extraordinary thing that they did, because never in the history have they ever given someone a 5-year contract, but they determined that they were so set on this individual that they were going to hire him for 5 years. Here we are 2 years later, and they're already having issues. So we need to be very careful and very selective when we first recruit finalists to the hiring circles, and then the vetting process needs to be very detailed. My job is to select qualified individuals to serve on the Board of Education who understand that it's a volunteer position first. Second, that they understand that they must be dedicated in every second that they serve on that dais. The other thing is that the number one responsibility for those who serve on the Board of Education is the best interest of our children. So that's the first things we need to do. The other thing is the Board of Education needs to establish a very good rapport with the superintendent so that he can understand what their expectations are, so that he can better explain to them what he expects to accomplish, and then that they can have a discussion regarding his plans on closing the achievement gap. Those conversations need to also include the professional educators who are providing the instructions in the classroom, and then any other authorities who want to be involved. We need more input from the community, but we need less fighting. We need more communicating or communication going on. There is so much dysfunctionality going on in the Board of Education right now that our children are constantly losing. Parents don't want to go because they don't want to see this play out every time in the Board of Education. Children are already traumatized by things that they face on a daily basis regarding their lifestyles. And then to put on top of that we don't have a functional, formal process to get them back in the race of life makes it a sad situation for us. But with a good mayor, someone who's focused and understands the challenges that we face, we could probably begin to close that achievement gap.
Now, education has been the cornerstone of the Nubian News for those 40 years. We've focused on education. We realize that the state ultimately responsible for educating our children. The Constitution says that kids must have a thorough and efficient education. That's guaranteed in the Constitution of New Jersey. Are you prepared to take the state to court to ensure that we start getting a thorough and efficient education for our children, because for 40 years our children have been subpar, and the state has allowed it to happen.
Well, the state has allowed it to happen, and again, we've been part and parcel responsible for what's happening, right? And that's because we need to have smart people representing the city of Trenton. You know, we
Are
can't.
you one of those smart people?
Who say that again?
Are you one of those smart people?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, without doubt. And guess what? I'm a product of the Trent Public School System.
Okay.
So I can tell you that the Trent Public School System can produce people who are willing and capable of leading that process. We need to get serious about it. We can't just talk about it. If we see that the state is forgetting our children or denying us some sort of opportunity to progress or to challenge other communities when it comes to our educational promise, then we don't need to wait around to talk about it. We need to immediately address it. If we see that we're having failing instructions going on in the classroom, we need to talk about it right then and there. We cannot be afraid of confrontation when it comes to the best interests of our children. I think that's where we need to start. So absolutely, if I'm the mayor and I see that there's some shortcomings in the promise that was made according to the Constitution of this state, absolutely I will challenge it.
In addition to Darrell Freedom Green, who has endorsed you, what other black politicians, black leaders, or black organizations who have endorsed you or you anticipate will be endorsing you?
I try not to focus on the endorsements, but I welcome them, of course, just like anybody else. There have been several leaders, let's say leaders in the community, who have endorsed me. Pastor Mark Roach, who was the past president of the Concerned Pastors of the city and the current pastor of Trenton Deliverance Church, serves with me every day. He's a great confidant of mine, and he's a great leader in this community. Miss Joyce Kersey, who is a long-time prominent figure in the city, African-American female, serves with me every day. She is my chief strategist. We have several other ministers and pastors who are working closely with us regarding collaborations and issues of and needs assessments of the city and how we go about doing that. But politicians, when you say, career politicians, I'm not looking towards getting any career politicians to come and back us, because in fact, that's what we see as a challenge to progress to progress in the city. I can tell you that Bonnie Watson-Coleman didn't endorse Reed Gashora, like you said, right? And that's a big thing. And she took the time out to say so. So that's a big thing. And I welcome that, because that's a leader in our community who's well respected and says, listen, I gave you my word. I'm not going to be involved in this endorsement relay or challenge. I'm going to stay neutral, and she stuck to her word, and we respect her for that, because that clears the way to a free and open competition where we can go ahead and go one-on-one with the issues, and then the connectivity that we have to the issues of the city.
I have a follow-up on that one. The Trenton Latino Merchants Association was reported to have endorsed your opponent. What Latino leaders, organizations have endorsed you?
Well, the strongest Latino commercial organization or association actually endorsed me, which is the Guatemalan Merchants. That's the number one merchant society for Latinos in this community who generate real jobs and economic drive for the city. And they endorsed me. They endorsed me straight out. I welcome that endorsement. I see the good work that they do in the community. They provide some of the best pride festivals when it comes to the Latino culture in this city. They contribute back to their city. They help one another when it comes to issues regarding undocumented personnel who suffer through personal issues, maybe someone passing away in their family. So that this Guatemalan commercial association is probably the one that's most affixed to the Latino community. So I welcome that. It's okay if we split, hairs when it comes to organizations who endorse and don't endorse, but in the end, I have the better or present the better case for change and movement in this community.
Just to follow up on that one, I believe, I may be wrong with this, when you ran in 2014, Freddie and Rosa Rosario were very big financial supporters of your campaign. I may be wrong with that. Are they involved with your campaign this year? And also you mentioned Dr. Guatemala's Harry Luna. Is he still involved with that organization? Has he come endorsed you?
So Freddie Rosado and Rosie are personal friends of mine. I grew up with them. And they did not donate anything to me last time. I think if they did, it was probably less than $300, and it was because they participated in functions. So they didn't really endorse, or they really didn't provide any financial support. Spiritual support, support as a friend, they did. This time around, it's the same thing. We go to the same church. We go to St. Mary's Cathedral. We worship in the same church. We're friends. That's the kind of support that they're providing me, and I welcome that support. As I mentioned earlier, the Guatemalan merchants endorsed me. I know Harry Luna. I went to school with Harry Luna. He's a good man. He provides support to my campaign when it comes to different activities. But I don't think he is an active member of the Guatemalan merchants.
I was supposed to ask you before, but why are you running for mayor in this city with many issues? And also, please tell me if you have already identified what's the more serious issue that the Trentonians are facing at this time?
We often get that question. I run because I understand that Trenton right now is in a crossroads. Trenton is about to take a turn in its history, and we have to get it right. I truly believe that I'm the best qualified individual who truly understands the handicap and the challenges that we face in this city. I'm prepared. I've been responsible or in charge of organizations the size of this city. I've managed people at the levels that we would have to manage them at City Hall. I've managed the budgets of that size. I've managed assets of that size. I understand what it is to have human resources, information technology, contracting, security, and public works as a challenge. Because of that, I feel very confident that I'm going to be able to do the job that the people of this city deserve, which is provide them a quality of life that our surrounding neighbors are experiencing, but we have yet to see come to fruition now in about 30 years. So that's the first piece. The second piece is that an issue in the city of Trenton, good gracious, Trenton has a multitude of issues. There isn't one thing that you're going to be able to say, I'm only going to do this one thing and fix the city. Because if you say that, then you don't understand the city. There are so many issues that we need to go after at the same time. We spoke earlier about creating an urban center of excellence where we change the standards and the values of how we perform our duties at City Hall and professionalize the force so that they can provide a better service. We spoke very briefly about the fact that our city police are not accredited and they need to be professionalized. We have 290 police officers, yet our security plan is lacking because we don't see a real change in the security posture of this city. Our city streets are filthy, full of trash everywhere. We have illegal dumping going on. We have abandonment of properties going on. We have business models or business practices in City Hall that don't work. There's so many things that we need to attack at the same time to at least start demonstrating an upward turn, at least in the first 100 days.
Yeah, we have a prostitution, we have a drug addiction, also, and not just in the street, but also in the schools. I understand we have too many issues, but can you please tell me which one of those issues that you say are the most important for you, and you will fight in maybe 2-3 months at the beginning of your
I think what I'm saying to you is that there's a whole list, a whole multitude of things that I'm going to be fighting at the same time.
But you don't identify one serious issue?
No, because that's not the way to lead. See, that's the attitude that's been leading us down the wrong path. Because if we say, I'm only going to do this one thing, and then we take all of our resources and energy and we focus on that thing, whatever it is that we leave behind here just continues to get worse. We need to focus on a multitude of things and attack it at the same time. That way we can really get some real clarity to what we're going up against. If it's prostitution, if it's drugs, if it's violence in the streets, that's all included in our security plan. If it's school in the achievement plan, that's also quality of life. If it's cleanliness in our roadways, that's infrastructure. So there's a way to manage things. When you have executive experience, you understand that. I'm not a one-person machine, and I'm not a supervisor. I would be the mayor of the city, and there's a multitude of issues that need to be addressed at the same time.
Okay,
You promised us a world-class administration.
Absolutely.
I expect that out.
Absolutely.
Okay. We also want to know, maybe you can do something to get the whole city to become bilingual.
Yes.
I am so envious. I'm so envious.
That's great, yeah, because
I've
it-
always wanted to speak Spanish and English, so maybe you can do something about that.
Absolutely.
And when you get elected, will you come back in this city?
One of the things that this city absolutely needs is reliable media. And as the new mayor of this city, I will definitely guarantee that. When I see responsive news outlets who want to be a part of disseminating information to the masses accurately, you're part of the team.
Okay. So I want to say thank you. I have 100 more questions I'd like to ask you, but I'm going to let you go because I know you're very, very busy, and we appreciate you coming to see to the Newbie News.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
thank you.